nazzjonali li kien sar f'Novembru tas-sena 2021, riżultati li tfaw dawl fuq kif qed tevolvi s-soċjetà Maltija bl-influss tal-barranin iħalli impatt qawwi fuq pajjiżna. Ir-Russja tinsab determinata li twassal messaġġ qawwi lid-dinja li kapaċi tirbaħ il-gwerra li għaddejja bħalissa fl-Ukrajna, gwerra li tal-waqt tal-sena li bdiet fl-ħariem il-Kremlin kompla jmobilizza soldati għall-akbar offensiva fl-Ukrajna mill-bidu tal-invażjoni bl-Ukreni iżda jgħidu li jinsabu lesti għal kull eventwalità. L-aktar aħbarijiet tistgħu titlu fuq is-sit elettroniku netnews.com.mt.
Sinjuri, nselmilkom u natikom is-serata tajba nilqakom għal edizzjoni oħra, episodju ieħor tal-programm Naturalment fuq net-television, programm ta' kull ġimgħa illi kif tafu kull nhar ta' ħamis matul nkunu qed niddiskutu temi marbutin mal-ambjent naturali ta' pajjiżna. U fil-programm tal-lum se nkun qiegħed niddiskuti f'żewġ partijiet bħas-soltu, żewġ temi li huma għalkemm m'għandhomx jaqsmu ma' xulxin huma tnej importanti ħafna għaliex it-tnejn jirrelataw mal-ħajja tagħna ta' kuljum hemm barra. Fl-ewwel parti se nkun qed nitkellem dwar ir-reati ambjentali, reati kriminali ambjentali li jseħħu f'pajjiżna u biex nagħmel dan se nkun qed niddiskuti ma' persuna minn BirdLife Malta, ma' anka persuna minn organizzazzjoni oħra li tagħmel ukoll xogħol simili ħafna għal BirdLife Malta brabta mal-monitoraġġ u s-sorveljanza tar-reati ambjentali u anke r-riabilitazzjoni tal-asafar. Fit-tieni parti mbagħad se nkunu qegħdin nitkellmu dwar it-tema tal-Park tal-Majistral, park li ħafna familji jafu fejn hu żgur għaliex iżuruh għal mixjiet sbieħ fil-kampanja illi jaf joffri u fit-tieni parti naturalment ta' din il-ġimgħa allura se jkollna żewġ mistiedna biex nitkellmu magħhom dwar dan. Fl-ewwel parti il-mistiedna huma tnejn barranin u allura se nkun qed naqleb għal-lingwa Ingliża sabiex niddiskuti ma' dawn it-tnejn min-nies dan is-suġġett. I was explaining, I welcome you to the studio and to the program, Alice. I was explaining a bit what we are going to discuss in the first part and that we will have two English-speaking officials from two different organizations, BirdLife Malta and CABS. And I would like also to welcome, first of all, Alice Tribe from BirdLife Malta, the Conservation Officer, and also we can see him via Skype because he is connected with us from Bonn in Germany, Axel Hirschfeld from CABS. Good evening, Axel, and we welcome you also to the program.
Good evening, and grazie Hasna for having me.
Okay, we don't hear him yet. Maybe there's something with the sound. We can check that out. Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Yes, okay, now we hear you also. Okay, I was explaining that we will be discussing during this program, the first half hour this week, bird crime investigation and rehab, and both NGOs which I have represented today in the program do this work in Malta, the two main organizations which carry out surveillance, monitoring of bird crime in the field, but also rehab. With CABS, mostly we will be discussing your work in Malta through the volunteers which you have here, based here, and with BirdLife Malta, we'll be discussing more a different aspect, the rehab of birds and also why birds come to BirdLife Malta and rehab. Let me start especially with BirdLife Malta discussing this particular aspect. How many birds do we get for rehab every year? Why do we get birds for rehab?
So actually, over the last few years, the numbers that have been admitted into rehabilitation has been increasing year on year. So in 2022 alone, we had over 200 birds admitted into rehabilitation. And the reasons why these birds are admitted into rehabilitation in the first place are really varied. Okay. They can vary from birds that have been attacked by cats, or maybe they've hit a window. They could be birds that are weak and exhausted from their migration. They could also be confiscations from police cases. And also, a lot of the birds we receive have also been, unfortunately, shot as well.
Okay, so you would say that there is a mix of different factors which bring birds into rehab, and I would like during this half an hour speak a bit about the different methods which are applied also for birds to be rehabbed and hopefully successfully released back into the wild, obviously. Let's go a bit to Axel in Germany, and the first obvious question, Axel, to you is, I know that most of us who work in the field obviously know the work we do at BirdLife and also what CABs do, and we know that we work together also a lot. But maybe for those who are viewing this program today, not everybody knows what CABs is, what the Committee Against Bird Slaughter is, and why is it involved in this important work in Malta. Can you explain a bit briefly?
Yes, CABS is a network of international experts and activists who are specialized in protecting birds on their migration routes. And as an NGO, we are based in Germany. We have our headquarters here, but we are operating mostly in the Mediterranean countries such as Cyprus, Italy, Spain, and also on Malta.
And when you say you are based in these countries, what do you do for people to understand exactly what you are doing?
What we are doing is to protect migratory birds from illegal killings, which means trapping and illegal hunting. And especially within the European Union countries, we observe that the Birds Directive is being respected, and that poachers who are violating national wildlife laws are being reported to the police, and in the best case also convicted.
And you do this work all year round, or are there particular periods which you are more busy than others?
Of course, during the migration peak times of bird migration, we put a lot of resources into our operations, but in Malta we are actually active the whole year round. There's always something to do in Malta. Last week we had a case close to the airport where our team saw a number of protected robins being held in a compound, and we reported it, and the police went there and confiscated a number of robins. So also in January, every month we have something to do, and at the moment we are preparing for our March operations in Malta, where we will be monitoring finch migration and illegal finch trapping.
Good. You already mentioned illegal hunting, illegal trapping. We'll come back to you and discuss also, obviously, the two different aspects of these two different hunting and trapping are different. But coming back to you, CABs obviously are doing this work, like BirdLife Malta is doing this work in the field during the most important periods, the migratory periods. Do numbers of rehabbed birds and different species, do they differ according to the season, the hunting seasons, like spring and autumn? Are they different? The numbers are different?
Yes, they are. So because of the positioning of Malta as a migratory flyway, it does mean that we have a peak of birds admitted into rehabilitation during the spring and the autumn migration. We particularly see a peak of casualties in the autumn when, unfortunately, there are lots of birds that come into us illegally shot. This is the time of the year when we have not just adults migrating south, but also their juveniles as well. So autumn, for sure, is the busiest time for us. And because of the nature of the species, basically a lot of them being migratory, it means that we can actually keep these birds with us for quite a long time, because we have to wait till the next migration season before they can be released as well. Okay.
Here we are seeing some footage of rehabbed birds which have been successfully rehabbed by BirdLife Malta back into nature. Would you say that the biggest number of birds which are recovered through hunting, through other, fatigue, is the number bigger, those who make it, or is it, unfortunately, more birds are dying?
So, to give you an idea, when a bird comes into us in rehabilitation, usually our success rate is 2 out of 3 birds get released back.
A very good number.
Yes, it is. And for the other third, that unfortunately don't make it, usually they've come to us in such a poor state in the first place that their chances of survival were always going to be lower. So, yes, usually it's 2 out of 3.
And here we are seeing, obviously, I try to compile some different footage of different species. Every bird which is rehabbed successfully is before ringed.
Yeah.
And this is done for a particular reason. Maybe you can explain a bit.
Yes, so every bird is fitted with a ring. It's an aluminium ring. It's very light, so it doesn't impact on the bird's journey at all. And they have a unique number. So if that bird is seen again, or maybe it's found somewhere else, then that number can be traced back to that individual bird. And the reason why we ring the birds is because it gives us an idea on where these birds are actually heading, longevity as well, how long the birds will live for, and also just for us as well, it's a good indication to know that our rehabilitation is actually worth it as well if the birds are found again.
We'll go a bit into detail about what the rehab processing involves, but let me go back to Cabs, who is connected to us from Bonn. Axel, you are also involved in certain aspect of release of rehabbed birds, because I know that you collaborate very closely with BirdLife Malta when there are raids which you are involved in and the police comes in and then they are confiscated. Then you coordinate with BirdLife Malta to bring over these birds to be rehabbed. Can you tell us a bit about this work which is done in the field in Malta also?
Yes, of course. If we report incidents of illegal trapping, in most of the cases there are also confiscations involved, confiscations of live birds, and you need safe havens to release these birds so that they are not directly being trapped or shot again. And the sanctuaries of BirdLife Malta, such as Sima or Adira, they provide such a safe haven, and that's why most of the birds which are being confiscated after our reports are being released in your reserves. And it's always a great moment to see them being released and having a second chance.
Yes. This is what you both work for, because as Axel was saying, the most important and the best moment, I guess, is when a bird is successfully rehabilitated and released back into the wild. And as Axel was saying, our nature reserves are safe havens for these birds. Most of them are released there. But I know, for instance, that we release certain birds of prey on Comino. So there are different reasons why different species are released in different places. Can we explain a bit about this also?
Yeah, okay. So, yes, as you mentioned, we do release quite a number of birds on Comino. The reason being because it is a designated bird sanctuary. So if a bird needs a few more days to stay around, feed up before they continue their migration, then releasing them on a bird sanctuary which is free from hunting and trapping should hopefully give them that next best option of survival. And then for other species as well, we may release them in bosquets. For Esther, if it's a shearwater, we'll go to the cliffs.
Yeah, so we'll speak about seabirds later on. I hope I have some time. Yes. So, and the rehab process. So first of all, we have to emphasize that all this is done after the go-ahead from the government vet. So there is a process which has to be followed. Yes. So the birds first go. Can you explain a bit? The bird first goes to the government vet, who decides the fate of the bird, and then comes to BirdLife Malta if it is decided it needs to be rehabbed. Yeah. Tell us a bit what happens, and also what then the rehab process involves.
Okay, so yes, every single bird goes to the government vets, where they will usually do an X-ray on the bird, and they do the X-ray to just check that the bones, if there are broken bones, that they haven't broken in such a way that they can't be fixed, basically. So once they assess how the injuries are in the first place, and they assess the chances of this bird being successfully back into the wild, then they'll come back into our care and they'll go into rehabilitation. And the methods are different for different species, but usually for a bird of prey, for example, it's relatively straightforward, actually. You just need to... if they have a broken bone, we put them in a small, confined space so they don't risk injuring themselves even more. And then once we're happy that the injuries have fixed properly and they're feeding independently, then they go into a larger area to start exercising. And once they've got to a stage where their physical strength is back up and they're showing that they're able to feed independently, then the government vets will come back
again to check and certify,
to reassess the bird, reassess the progress, and once everyone's happy that the bird is ready, then
it's got to be released.
Yeah.
And this is costly, obviously. It involves a lot of expenses also, no?
Yes, it's quite expensive. Staff time, electricity, the food, it does all add up.
Back to Axel. Axel, I have one curiosity. I know you've been for a long time, obviously, monitoring hunting seasons, trapping seasons in Malta, and as Alice was saying, most of the birds, thankfully, successfully, are rehabilitated. But how do you gauge the situation now compared to before? Is it better? Is it worse? Are the numbers getting bigger? Also, the attitude of the enforcement out there, is enforcement better than before, or is it failing?
Yes. First of all, let's not forget that the biggest problem we are dealing with is the selfishness of the poachers who still continue with their activity despite they know exactly what damage they cause to nature and society. And apart from that, of course, the second biggest problem with wildlife crime on Malta is the massive lack of enforcement. And with the current government, actually, I don't see any political will that this situation is improving. And yes, we have a problem with enforcement in Malta. And the police, the Environmental Protection Unit, the guys, the officers who are working there, they are doing a great job when they are responding to our reports, and they collect the evidence and they take the people to court if the evidence is sufficient. But the problem is that still, I think the overwhelming majority of cases which end up in courts and which end up with convictions are cases which are being reported by CAPS and BirdLife, and not cases which are based on own proactive police work. And this is a very important variable, a very important number, which shows that enforcement is not good enough to solve the problem.
In fact, we're seeing at the moment, whilst you're speaking, some of the footage of different incidents you were involved in. More than incidents, different monitoring which you did and which led successfully to the arraignment of people. But as you said, enforcement is lacking. I would like to point you out to one particular issue which we had a couple of weeks ago. We're in February now, but back in January there was even one case when, I'm sure you can explain better than me, it is the perfect example of what happens when the police are maybe not well prepared enough, even though you say obviously on the field they are helpful, they come, but then a magistrate some weeks ago, back in January, liberated a poacher despite the well-documented evidence you presented. So these are cases which obviously, do they discourage you?
Yes, of course, we regret that in this particular case you are referring to, the accused could not be held accountable. And we also had other cases, for example, on Gozo, where there was a case against a person who was prosecuted for illegal trapping. And this person was also acquitted because our staff members as witnesses could not attend because they have been summoned to the law court in Valletta on the same day. And this was explained to the courthouse in Gozo, but however, the magistrate decided not to wait or to defer the case, but to let the accused go due to lack of evidence. So sometimes these cases are lost, on this level, but still the overwhelming majority of cases we report to the police ends with convictions. And so we hope that, such cases where, at the end of the day, the case is lost are the exception.
Another question before I go back to Alice. At the moment now we're seeing some old footage which I managed to dig up from the archives, where there was some confrontation with hunters, trappers, poachers. I think this one was at Mizib. Have these type of incidents decreased, or are they still very common in the field?
First of all, this happens in every country where we are operating. And of course, it also happens on Malta. We have, let's say, slash tires, let's say at least on a monthly basis. But really dangerous aggressions where really violence against our volunteers is involved. Has decreased actually in the last years. We have other countries, for example, Cyprus, where we feel as people who have to work on the ground, it is much more dangerous to work. But still, these cases happen, and if they happen, we expect the authorities to exhaust all measures to take them to court. And but as I told you, it's not actually increasing.
Okay, good. That's a positive sign. Back to you, Alice. I don't know if you want to add something about the situation of enforcement out there. I know that obviously you are recruiting also volunteers within February at the moment. So come spring, there will be Spring Watch. Maybe we can say something about what happens during these camps, because this is also work done by BirdLife Malta.
Yeah, so this year we'll be holding our annual Spring Watch, which is where we invite a number of volunteers, usually from overseas, to join us, and they help us in the field investigate illegal hunting. And usually recently the turtle dove was illegal to shoot in the spring, but as of last year it came back as a legally species.
Following the removal of the moratorium?
Yes, exactly. So this year we would still be focusing on turtle dove hunting and also the illegal hunting of other protected species.
Yes, since you mentioned the turtle dove, and we've got some footage of the turtle dove, El Gamima in Maltese, we know that this is quite a symbolic bird even for us Maltese. Why has the turtle dove recently, by the IUCN, been also put on the vulnerable list of protected species? And why is it so important that we conserve this particular bird, especially in spring?
So this is a species that has now been classified as vulnerable to extinction. And of course, hunting is not just the main issue, it's also problems elsewhere on the breeding grounds. But hunting of the species along the migration routes is a serious issue for the survival of the species. And we believe that at least hunting of any species in the spring shouldn't occur, because you're shooting birds that are actually heading north to their breeding grounds.
Which means that they will be reproducing, so you would be cutting down on the numbers which would be reproducing. That's why spring is so crucial.
Exactly, yeah. So we are depriving these birds of actually increasing their population numbers. So spring hunting on a conservation level will never make sense. And then also even just the hunting of the species in the autumn, not just in Malta, but across other countries like France and Spain, many of these birds are being shot. And seeing as we are dealing with a species that is vulnerable to extinction, hunting puts an unnecessary pressure on the species.
Good. We have seen some footage of illegal shooting of turtle dove before the moratorium was, removed, so it was illegal to hunt. But we have a clip of a particular episode of the shooting down of a turtle dove when it was still illegal to shoot it in spring. I think it was in spring. Let's see this clip together, and then we'll comment a bit about, again, the importance of this bird, and also I would like to see what Cabs think about the turtle dove. Ħan nisimgħu din il-klip ta' Gamima, naraw din il-klip ta' Gamima milli kien inqatlet illegalment.
Ooh, Igo's about to. Oh no, he's about to fire. I think. Guy with the there we go. He's just shot. It's down. Okay. Dog's going to pick it up. Yep. I saw it shot down. The guy with the blue car. His dog is about to pick it up. Yeah. He even gestured to his dog before he shot. Okay. He's picking it up now. Yeah. Well, he shot it. But yeah, it just came in front of him and he shot it.
There we saw the illegal shooting of a turtle dove, which you were commenting also because you were monitoring. Let me go to Axel first. Axel, you were watching with us the illegal shooting of a turtle dove when it was still illegal to shoot it in spring. What is the opinion? What is your opinion, Cab's opinion, about the fact that the government, obviously for obvious political reasons, has removed the moratorium again, and it is legally hunting? You can legally hunt turtle dove again in Malta in spring. What is your opinion about this?
Yes, first of all, of course, hunting birds on the way back to their breeding grounds is causing much more damage than in autumn. But still, as an organization, we are convinced that turtle dove hunting is not sustainable, whether it takes place in spring or whether it takes in autumn. Let's not forget that most of these birds are coming from countries where the turtle dove population has decreased significantly by 50, 60, 70, 80% in the last years. And if you take the definition of sustainability and sustainable hunting given by the hunters themselves, it says that they want to harvest a surplus of a population, but a population which is significantly decreasing, and there is no surplus. So there is no way to hunt or to make sustainable use of such a species, and that's why I'm absolutely convinced that sooner or later also Malta, after France and Spain introduced moratoriums on turtle dove hunting in autumn, will follow.
Okay.
It has to follow. I think turtle dove hunting will be banned throughout the whole European Union in the next years. I don't know when, but yeah.
One short, because we are seeing footage now which is different. We'll tackle this. We have a few minutes left. One short conclusion about the turtle dove. But why is the turtle dove such a popular species to hunt? Why?
Eating, actually. So the eating of the species is still very popular in Malta, but not just for that. So they can be just kept in captivity for captive breeding, also to be used as live decoys for both hunting and illegal trapping as well of the species.
And as Axel was saying, it's not good to have it shot in spring, and you were explaining why. But even there are countries which are even banning the hunting of turtle dove in autumn now. So
yes.
Do you think there will be one time when turtle dove hunting will be banned completely?
I hope so, yes.
So.
And yes, I agree with what Axel was saying. I think it's only a matter of time before countries like Spain, France, Italy, they will just remove it completely, because this is a bird that will disappear if things continue as they are.
Okay, we are seeing footage now, because we have a few minutes left, of something different. Swifts, which are hand-reared, which is a different way of rehab. Explain briefly a bit. Maybe we can continue seeing the footage, what we were seeing.
So the majority of the swifts that we receive, these are nestlings. So these are birds that have prematurely left their nest sites. And usually they would leave because the temperature of their nesting location, which is usually in a building, so usually in a concrete building, the temperature gets so high that they need to escape the heat. So they'll either go to the edge for some air and accidentally drop out, or they'll actually prematurely jump before they're ready. And this is a problem because the swifts, they have very small legs, which means that when they're on the ground, they are essentially grounded. And this prevents the adult birds from actually being able to continue feeding their young. So actually, whenever a member of the public comes across a young swift on the ground, it's really important that they do call us.
And this happens in particular periods of the year, no?
Yeah, so spring migration is just on the way. So we can expect baby swifts to be appearing from June, basically, onwards.
And here we are seeing some of these releases of swifts which were collected thanks to the public and released at the university. And now we're going to a different kind of release. This is seabirds, which we already mentioned. Very quickly, before I go to Axel to conclude, and then we conclude with you.
Yeah.
Seabirds.
Okay, so we have two species of shearwaters. We have the Yoquin and we have the Scopely shearwater. Yes. They fledge at different times of the year. So Yoquins we can expect in June, July. and Scopolis in October. And what would happen is these fledglings, they leave their nesting burrows where they're usually used to being in complete darkness. And then they emerge and they see the artificial lights of, different sounds. So Bujaba, Shlendi, they usually
stranded on land.
Yes, exactly. They get attracted to the light, so then they become stranded on land. And
they
these
cannot
birds,
take off on their own.
Exactly. They need intervention as well. So we also call upon the public to let us know when they come across these birds, and we release them.
And remind me the particular periods of the strandings are?
So June and July for Yoguin and October for Scopolis.
Good. Axel, we are going to conclude. Just 30 seconds from you. My last question is, do you think that Malta's laws on wildlife crime and nature protection, as they are serving as a deterrent? Oh, okay, so Axel there's been a problem, so he's not with us anymore? Okay. The same question for you. The way forward, do you think that we have good laws which are serving as a deterrent to obviously control illegalities, wildlife crime, especially hunting and trapping in Malta, and what's the way forward?
I think the laws on paper, as they are actually really strong. But as Axel was saying earlier, usually we do have a problem with the police not being so proactive. So a lot of the cases that do end up in court are on the basis of CAPs and BirdLife reports. But yes, I think the laws as they are actually quite strong.
Very good. Thank you. Half an hour flew away, as you can see. We had some more points which I would have liked to raise, also about trapping, but we can do that undoubtedly in another program. Thank you, Alice, for being with us. Thank you, Axel, who is not with us anymore, from CABS, for this nice discussion, interesting discussion. We are going to stop here for this part. I will go back to Maltese now, because in the second part, fit-tieni parti issa ser niddiskutu tema kompletament differenti, se nitkellmu dwar il-Park tal-Majistral, wara din l-ewwel parti fuq din it-tema kif niġu lura mir-riklami se morru mill-ewwel għal feature dwar il-Park tal-Majistral u mbagħad biex niddiskutu propju dan il-post, l-għanijiet tiegħu, l-oġġettivi tiegħu, x'isir fih. Dak kollu li għandu x'jaqsam ma' dan il-park sabiħ se jkolli żewġ mistiedna oħra fl-istudju. Se jkolli l-Darren Saliba li huwa l-Conservation Manager li jmexxi dan il-park u mbagħad ir-rappreżentant ta' din l-Art Ħelwa li huwa Martin Gallia. Din l-Art Ħelwa hija parti mill-fondazzjoni li tmexxi timmaniġġja dan il-park. Riklami, feature u niġu lura biex inkomplu diskussjoni fl-istudju. BirdLife Malta ilha għal dawn l-aħħar 60 sena taħdem biex ittejjeb l-ambjent naturali ta' pajjiżna. Programmi edukattivi, immaniġġjar ta' riservi naturali, ir-riabilitazzjoni ta' għasafar feruti, xogħol ta' konservazzjoni. Issieħeb magħna llum u għenna nkomplu nħarsu in-natura.
Seifert Systems is a pioneer of sustainable manufacturing in Malta. The first manufacturing company to be certified CO2 neutral, we are reducing our footprint both from operations and our product's life cycle. We have over 2,800 solar panels on our facility and added a further 330 this year. We are employing cutting-edge technology to gradually supply all our own electricity and water. Join Malta's sustainable manufacturer. Join Seifert Systems.
Zbieħux, iżda kont taf li dawn u pjanti oħra aljeni invażivi qed jagħmlu ħsara lill-wirt naturali Malti, meta speċi mhux tal-post jiġu introdotti fl-ambjent naturali, dawn jistgħu jagħmlu ħsara billi jeqirdu annimali u pjanti li huma tal-post, jaffettwaw il-bilanċ naturali kif ukoll is-saħħa tal-bniedem u l-ekonomija. Kun responsabbli tiksirx il-liġi billi tintroduċi pjanti aljeni invażivi fl-ekosistema naturali tagħna. Għal aktar informazzjoni żur is-sit elettroniku era.org.mt.
Meta għax-xogħol tipprepara l-ikel tiegħek mid-dar, hekk tkun ċert li qed tiekol bnin, tkun qed tifranka l-flus u qed tirrispetta l-ambjent. Għal porzjonijiet żejda mill-ikla tal-lejliet, uża kontenituri li jistgħu jibqgħu jintużaw. Fuq il-post tax-xogħol, uża kikra jew mag li tista' terġa' tużhom u mhux tazzi li jintużaw darba biss. Għal dik it-toma ħelwa, fid-dita tiegħek inkludi iktar frott frisk tal-istaġunu lokali u inqas ħlowwiet immanufatturati u sintetiċi.
Iġifieri inti qed tgħidli li jekk jien ninvesti fil-pannelli, bl-iskemi li hemm nista' nieħu l-flus lura f'perjodu ta' bejn 2 u 4 snin.
U jekk inti tikkonsma ħafna dawl tifdiha fi żmien 2. Jekk inti tikkonsma inqas dawl u tkun f'madwar 6,000 unit fis-sena, tifdiha f'4 snin.
Iġifieri noħroġ 3,000 euro. Eżatt.
Hello.
Jidher li għandna telefonata.
Jiena nixtieq ninvesti fil-pannelli, però ħsibta li ħafna aktar ikkumplikata u rrid noħroġ ħafna flus bil-quddiem.
Mhux eżatt, Sinjura, li mill-ġurnata għandna sistema ta' loans illi tgħin tiffinanzja s-sistema fejn tiġi qisha qed tħallas lilha nnifisha.
Daqshekk sempliċi.
Daqshekk sempliċi kif.
Your solution to save energy.
Stop. Take a moment and think about what matters most to you. Your family, your home, your business. We all deserve to feel safe, and for over 30 years, that's been at the heart of what we do. And it guides everything we do for our customers. When it comes to protecting what matters, never compromise on quality. Alberta.
Nerve Power, għas-saħħa tal-ġogi, il-nervituri, l-għadam, il-muskoli u s-sistema immunitarja tiegħek. ċembelissa 21-382-400.
Sotis, prodotti għazbuħija kemm għan-nisa kif ukoll għall-irġiel. Sotis għal trattamenti ġewwa salons professjonali. Sotis il-prodotti li għandek bżonn għal kura tal-ġilda tiegħek. Sotis.
Polsin, iż-żejtun, għall-aqwa prezzijiet u kwalità. Nervohelix, l-għażla naturali għas-saħħa kompluta tan-nervituri tiegħek. ċempelissa lil Binni TV Shop fuq 21-382-400.
When you buy a Royalty mattress, you're buying not just a bed, but your unique sleeping experience. Manufactured locally using the best materials and finished to your individual specifications. Royalty mattresses offer the highest level of comfort at the best prices. Because Royalty bedding is an experience in rest and relaxation designed especially for you. And will be delivered free to your doorstep.
Talira. Exceptional variety at the lowest prices. Best range, best value. Head to your nearest store today.
Talira. Always worth it.
Hemmhekk toma qasira ta' x'joffri l-Park tal-Majistral, li huwa s-suġġetti li se nkunu qed niddiskutu f'din in-nofsija f'din it-tieni parti ta' Naturalment. U miegħi fl-istudio issa bi pjaċir nilqa' lil Darren Saliba, li jmexxi l-Park tal-Majistral f'termini ta' konservazzjoni ta' kollu għandu x'jaqsam mal-management tal-park, u lil Martin Gallia. Martin ġej minn din l-Art Ħelwa, għax din l-Art Ħelwa hija waħda mill-imsieħba fil-fondazzjoni illi tmexxi dan il-park. Fil-fatt illum se nsiru nafu daqsxejn anke kif jitmexxa dan il-park għax hemm numru ta' NGOs involuti. Nilqakom miegħi, Martin diġà kien magħna meta tkellimna dwar Forester fejn, riserva differenti ta' BirdLife Malta. Ħanibda minnek, Darren, l-ewwel nett, naf li ħafna nies jafu x'inhu l-Park tal-Majistral, speċjalment dawk li jżuruh imorru mixjiet li joffri dan il-post bellezza enormi kbir, imma qal min ma jafx x'inhu l-Park tal-Majistral jgħidilna ftit kollox dwaru fil-qosor fejn hu, x'inhu, x'jagħmel, għal xi x'twaqqaf.
Mela le, bil-qalb kollha. Qed hemm ħafna xi tajt fuq il-Park tal-Majistral. Fil-qasir. Nistgħu ngħidu li l-Park tal-Majistral huwa l-ewwel park naturali nazzjonali f'Malta, da ġie ffurmat fl-2008. Fl-2007 ħarġet legal notice fejn ġie ssettjat. Fl-2008 mbagħad ġie ffirmat il-kuntratt tal-management mal-Federation. Il-park qiegħed il-mellieħa bħala żona aħna nimmaneġġjaw minn Golden Bay mill-Bajja tal-Mixquqa u nkomplu nkopru l-kosta sa Papai Village. Bħala estent intern innaslu sal-Manikata. Il-Park tal-Majistral huwa l-maġġor parti magħmul minn xari, għandna l-kosta u hemm bajja wkoll. Huwa post sabiħ, huwa post fej ħafna nies iżuruh għal varji attivitajiet, mixi, rekreazzjoni, fotografija u dal-affarijiet.
Ħanidħlu fihom ftit għaliex nixtieq li permezz tal-programm nuru x'joffri mill-aspetti kollha. Imma diġà semmejtilna ġifieri id-daqs huwa naħseb l-ikbar park u xek naturali li għandna f'Malta.
Bħala sajt li qiegħed jimmaneġġjat iva, il-park ikopri 2.5 square kilometers f'total bħala art.
Martin, din l-Art Ħelwa, kif involvit ruħa fil-tmexxija tal-park? Forsi anke inti tista' tispjegana ftit l-istruttura ta' kif jitmexxa dan il-park, hemm fondazzjoni u x'hekk.
L-ewwel ħaġa naħseb nridu niftakru kif ġiet ifformat il-park. Dak f'2006 jekk niftakar sew, il-gvern irrid li jagħmel golf course hemmhekk. U ovvjament dak iż-żmien l-NGOs kollha, l-environmental NGOs, rvellaw, kellna ħafna protesti. U dak iż-żmien din l-Art Ħelwa għamel proposta lill-Ministru George Pulicino ta' dak iż-żmien u għadnilu li hemmhekk sabiħ biex nagħmlu park naturali u nżommuh għal future generations biex igawdih kulħadd. U il-gvern ta' dak iż-żmien ilqa' dak il-xajdu l-proposta u 2000 kif qal Darren ġiet iffurmata xi 2007-2008. Dak iż-żmien kien hemm proposta li jkun hemm il-Board of Management li huma l-iktar appuntati mill-Ministru plus il-managers li huma l-NGOs u immaniġjat by the Federation, Heritage Parks Federation li manaġja l-park. Heritage Parks Federation huma formati minn din l-Art Ħelwa, Nature Trust u l-Gaia Foundation. U aħna nirrapportaw lill-Majistral Board.
Kien earmarked biex isir golf course, dik kienet mistoqsija li kelli pjanata li nagħmilha. Ġifieri kien wieħed mill-postijiet fejn sfortunatament f'Malta kull post li għandu dawn it-tip ta' ħabitati b'xi mod jew ieħor jiġi meddet b'xi ħaġa b'xi tip ta' żvilupp għandna kwistjoni ta' kamuna għaddejja bħalissa, imma sfortunatament dan il-park ma sarx golf course imma illum qed igawdih kulħadd. Tiftakara din inti wkoll tal-golf.
Niftakara wkoll jiena iva, kemm ma kontx involut fil-park. Jiena dħalt fil-park fit-2009. Isu sena wara li ġi iffurmat.
Ġifieri imbagħad mela din hemm il-fondazzjoni li semma il-Heritage Parks Foundation, u xek, iffurmata minn daw l-NGOs. Imma inti huwa il-persuna eżekuttiva u xek fil-fuq. X'inhu r-rwol tiegħek?
Jien il-rwol tiegħi huwa Conservation Officer. Jiena għandi in charge l-operat tal-park komplut, kif ukoll il-konservazzjoni tal-habitats naturali tal-Park tal-Majistral. Dak huma ż-żewġ karigi tiegħi jgħid ngħidu hekk. Però mbagħad aħna għandna tim ukoll ta' rangers illi jimplementaw ix-xogħol fil-park. Għandna tim illi jkun ffukat fuq patrolling u tim illi huwa ffukat fuq il-maintenance tal-park bħala xogħlijiet, taħwil, tisqija, tiswija ta' rabel wall u dal-affarijiet.
Ħanidħlu fihom. Martin, it-tmexxija ta' park bħal dan li huwa kbir ħafna, sewwa mhux riserva waħda miftuħ. Semma diġà derin hemm bajja, hemm kosta, parti twila bil-kosta. Hawnhekk qed naraw ħabitati differenti anke taħt il-baħar. Tajjeb għax ukoll din parti mill-kosta ta' mal-park. Xi sfidi toffri xi ħaġa bħal din?
Sfidi kbar. L-ewwel ħaġa ma tantx għandna resorsi. Aħna għandna grant ta' xi 70,000 fis-sena mill-gvern. Xi kultant nirċievu wkoll xi grants biex nirranġaw il-habitats mingħand l-era huma utli ħafna. Imma il-komplement iridu nsibu l-flus aħna, nsibu sponsors, pereżempju qed nsibu ħafna għajnuna mill-ċerti kumpaniji biex nirranġaw il-barracks hemmhekk mingħand il-Gazan Foundation, mingħand il-Macintosh Foundation, mingħand Melita. Insomma, Korintia, ħafna kumpaniji li qed jagħtu flus lilna biex nirranġaw sija l-park u sija l-barracks biex igawdija kulħadd. Sfidi għandna ħafna, rridu nimmantenu l-post kollu. Problemi ta' nies li jabbużaw mill-post, off-roading, karozzi li jitlu, xi kaċċaw nsib barra l-staġun.
Ħanidħlu ftit fl-isfidi.
Barra staġun. Dal-affarijiet kollha, insomma, u aħna għandna ftit nies, imma almenu għandna nies li huma dedikati u jaħdmu ħafna.
Qabel nsemmu ftit minn dawn l-isfidi u ħansaqsik daqsxejn x'huma l-aktar sfidi li tiltaqgħu magħhom on a daily basis fix-xogħol ta' kuljum. Imma park naturali u tal-istorja. Ekku l-isem għaliex u tal-istorja x'hemm storiku?
Storiku hemm l-użu li dan il-post għadda minnu. Għandek element ta' agrikoltura, ta' żmien antik ukoll, u għandek element ta' militar fej il-post kien jintuża bħala
il-barracks li semma.
Barracks tentu fiha kif ukoll spazju għat training tal-militar Ingliż. Da kien jintuża minn l-1918 sal-1978 kien jintuża bħala żona fej kien hemm il-militar preżenti, kien jagħmel training hemmhekk u anke kellhom il-barracks fej daw kienu joqogħdu fil-post.
Qabel imorru għall-isfidi ħammorru għal waqfa qasira ta' ftit reklami għaliex fit-tieni parti kif tafu dejjem fin-nofs ikonna waqfa qasira ta' reklami. Niġu lura nixtieq nidħol ftit fl-sfidi partikolari li tiltaqgħu magħhom. Naf li hemm sfidi diversi semma diġà xi ħaġa minnhom Martin kaċċa illegali nsib imma anke ir-rimi tal-iskart nassumi. Ħammorru għal reklami niġu lura. Tirrilassa f'ambjent tranquill il-bot mill-ġennu l-istorbju tal-ħajja ta' kuljum, żur waħda mir-riservi naturali ta' BirdLife Malta u gawdi l-kampanja u l-ħabitati differenti tal-Gżejjer Maltin. F'dawn is-siti uniċi tista' titgħallem aktar dwar l-ekosistema, l-ispeċi lokali tal-flora u l-fawna u fuq kollox tqatta' ftit ħin għall-natura. Ir-riserva naturali tal-Għadira fil-Mellieħa toffri spazji miftuħa u medda ta' bur tal-mastru. Is-Simar biswit il-Bajja tax-Xemxija toffri żona bis-siġar tal-bruk bil-qasab li joffri kenn għal diversi għasafar. Ir-riserva tas-Salina fil-limit tal-Qawra iżżewwaq l-istorja mal-ambjent naturali. Il-Foresta 2000 taħt it-Torri l-Aħmar toffri mixjiet mill-isbaħ f'bosk li jestendi kważi minn kosta sa kosta b'veduti pittoreski. Miftuħin fi ġranet u ħinijiet differenti matul il-ġimgħa kif ukoll nhar ta' Sibt u Ħadd, idħul għar-riservi ta' BirdLife Malta huwa dejjem b'xejn.
Palaces, forts and auberges. Walk into an exclusive world of spectacular locations. Make history with your wedding and let us make your dreams come true.
NATURaLment Power għas-saħħa tal-ġogi, in-nervituri, l-għadam, il-muskoli u s-sistema immunitarja tiegħek. ċembelissa 21 382 400.
Visit the Malta National Aquarium to experience our unique fish displays and the reptiles and amphibians zone. Free entrance to the aquarium will be given to all children when dining at La Nave Bistro.
BirdLife Malta ilha għal dawn l-aħħar 60 sena taħdem biex ittejjeb l-ambjent naturali ta' pajjiżna. Programmi edukattivi, immaniġġjar ta' riservi naturali, riabilitazzjoni ta' għasafar feruti, xogħol ta' konservazzjoni. Issieħeb magħna llum u għenna nkomplu nħarsu in-natura.
NATURalment, l-għażla naturali għas-saħħa kompleta tan-nervituri tiegħek. ċempelissa lil Binni TV Shop fuq 21 382 400.
Seifert Systems is investing in Malta like never before. From a new state-of-the-art sheet metal processing facility to energy-efficient and ergonomic machinery, Seifert Systems is setting new standards in capability, safety, quality, and speed. Join one of the leading innovators. Join Seifert Systems.
Sotis, prodotti għazbuħija kemm għan-nisa kif ukoll għall-irġiel. Sotis għal trattamenti ġewwa salons professjonali. Sotis il-prodotti li għandek bżonn għal kura tal-ġilda tiegħek. Sotis.
Derin, habitati differenti li ovvjament iġibu problemi differenti. Ġifieri rajna ftit ilu qabel ħreġna riklami ras il-waħx jekk min jista' żball ġibu b'habitat bellezza. Imma inti semmejt l-aktar ix-xari. Imma mbagħad hemm problemi differenti li jġibu magħhom. Ġifieri mort mixja fil-kampanja jekk ħallejt l-iskart warajk in-nirien, tista' tispjegana x'inhuma l-akbar sfidi?
Iva jkollna ċertu sfidi, mhux dejjem l-istess, innutajna wkoll l-sfidi naqsu minn meta bdejna nimmaneġġew il-park, però hemm ċertu sfidi li dejjem jibqgħu hemmhekk. Waħda minnhom hija l-aċċess bil-karozza fil-park. Il-park hemm liġi speċifika għalih fejn tgħidlek illi huwa żona fejn m'għandhomx jitlu karozzi. Jistgħu jitlu biss minn għandu l-eliqi. Hemm żoni fejn hemm eliqi mikrijin u daw jistgħu l-bdiewa jistgħu jitlu aċċess għalhemm. Problema oħra li ġieli nintaqgħu magħha hija l-ħsara ambjentali fejn inti jkollok trampling nies jafġu fuq ix-xari u anke wkoll ġieli jittieħdu jew jinqataw fjuri li jkunu endemiċi jew importanti. Fil-park wieħed jista' jsib 13 il-habitat differenti li huma jiffurmaw parti 13 li huma jiffurmaw parti mill-Annex 1 Habitats tal-European Directive. Dan huma habitats importanti.
Kollha protetti daw ovvjament.
Eżatt, ekku, aħna nagħmlu l-almu tagħna biex nżidu dawn il-habitats, fis-sens mhux inżidu fin-numru, però nżidu l-estent tagħhom. Fejn hemm postijiet jkunu naqra degradati, fejn jkun hemm il-ħsara, aħna nippruvaw nirranġawha billi nħawlu speċi li huma li jinstabu f'dak il-habitat. Issa, meta ġieli kien hemm każi fejn ħawilna rġgħu qallgħulna s-siġar. Jew inkella jkun jitgħafxu jew jinqasmu. Problema oħra li ġieli jkollna fis-sajf speċjalment huwa barbecues biċ-charcoal fuq il-bajja tal-mixquqa. Il-bajja tal-mixquqa jistgħu jsiru barbecues, però jridu jsiru bil-barbecues tal-gass. Il-problema kienet li ħafna mid-drabi biċ-charcoal kien qed jintefa' taħt ir-ramel u dak kien qed ikun ta' periklu għan-nies li jmorru filgħodu biex iżuru l-bajja. Kif għadlek qabel, però qegħdin notaw illi qed insibu iktar għajnuna min-nies. Fejn qabel konna nsibu ħafna dumping, ħafna rimi ta' skart fil-park, dan naqas drastikament.
Grazzi wkoll għall-awareness hux li
Grazzi wkoll għall-awareness.
Kaċċaw insib hija problema?
Kaċċaw insib.
Isir fihom jista' jsir?
Isir. Huwa restritt ukoll bħala ħinijiet. Kaċċa tista' ssir minn miżbieħ sa nofsija.
Ħiniet imnaqsa compared ma' ħiniet propja.
Mu l-insib jista' jsir sa 2.5. L-idea hija li jkun hemm ħin kemm għall-kaċċa kif ukoll l-attivitajiet skolastiċi u anki rekreattivi.
Ħan nitkellmu ftit fuq l-attivitajiet iktar tard. Hemm xi pjan għall-futur, hemm xi proġetti li qed jiġu pjanati?
Għandna ħafna proġetti. Bħalissa qed nifokaw fuq żewġ binari, hemm fuq il-park per se, ġifieri qed nirranġaw il-passaġġi, qed nagħlqu dawk il-passaġġi żejjed u nagħmlu per eżempju strict routes biex in-nies dejjem joqogħdu fuq l-istess passaġġ. Min-naħa tal-barracks għandna xi 5 proġetti għaddejjin at the same time. Għandna kafeterja, villa fej n-nies jistgħu jmorru u jikru għal-weekend f'nofs il-kampanja, għandna dormitorji għal tfal tal-iskejjel u affarijiet hekk hemm bicycle shop, hemm affarijiet li n-nies meta jmorru l-park jista' jgawdi aħjar.
Semmejt li l-attivitajiet, semmejt li t-tfal tal-iskola jkun jisejħu. Ġi tagħmlu attivitajiet ukoll tfal tal-iskola?
Norganizzaw attivitajiet edukattiva l-iskejjel, kemm Malt lokali kemm ukoll barranin, kultant ikollna skejjel minn barra li jiġu jżuru l-park, kif ukoll norganizzaw attivitajiet rikreazzjonali għall pubbliku ġenerali.
Apparti l-attività li sta jmur dak li jkun waħdu nista' jmur bit-tifla bil-mara.
Żgur li tista' tidħol fil-park anytime u tmur timxi fil-park hemm iċ-ċentru tal-viżitaturi wkoll li jkun miftuħ tista' żżuru inti jkun hemm l-informazzjoni fuq il-park u għandna wkoll xi materjali li pproduġejna aħna li tkun tista' tieħu minnhom. Umbat tmur fil-park, però bħala attivitajiet rekreazzjonali norganizzaw ukoll ħafna short courses bħala propagation ta' pjanti indiġeni kif ukoll fotografija u affarijiet li jkollhom l-element naturali fihom ukoll.
Semmejna wkoll lura l-infurzar u s-sorveljanza. Semmejna wkoll diversi illegalitajiet li wieħed jista' jiltaqa' magħhom. Kelkom każi fejn ġifieri tresqu nies anke l-qorti minħabba ċerti illegalitajiet. U kif isir dan id-sorveljanza, l-monitoraġġ? Naf li semmejt li diġà Rangers u xejn.
Iva, il-Rangers, ix-xogħol huwa dal-parti tax-xogħol isir mill-Rangers. Issa riċentement iffurmajna s-section tal-patrolling u l-monitoring. Għandna Rangers li x-xogħol tagħhom huwa dedikat biex jimmonitorjaw il-park u da xogħolhom huwa li jaraw il-liġijiet li hemm fil-park jiġu osservati. Kien hemm każijiet fej aħna l-almutan huwa li nedukaw l-ewwel nett, aħna l-almutana mhuwiex li ntellaw in-nies il-qorti, però l-ewwel action tagħna tkun li nippruvaw nedukaw. Jekk il-persuna ma jkunx li tifhem x'inhi li xu mbagħad ikollna ngħidu l-pulizija jintervjenu. Ġieli kien hemm każi fej in-nies spiċċaw il-qorti iva.
Ma nafx jekk hux unika din l-istruttura ta' NGOs fondazzjoni fit-tmexxija ta' park. Għidli inti, Martin, ġidi xi ħaġa li ma ssibix f'Malta.
Naħseb bħala liġi ma nafx jekk hemmx, forsi Nature Trust għandu xi ħaġa l-Dellimara ma nafx. But differenti, il-structure li jkun hemm li naħdmu fil-kien, aħna qegħdin involuti mal-BirdLife fil-foresta. Però dik istruttura li jkun hemm board tal-sorveljanza u mbagħad ikun hemm il-manager, dak naħseb l-uniku wieħed. Però aħna qed nippressaw ħafna l-gvern li forsi il-boundaries tal-park jiġu estiżi u biex jikber u biex iktar mill-ftit li fadal mill-art naturali tagħna, l-sbuħija li għandna, jiġi protetta. Għamilna diversi proposti lill-ministri, minn diversi ministri, l-aħħar waħda l-Onor Mirjam Dalli, qed ikkonsidrawha. Palissa naħseb ma tantx hemm traction fiha, imma naħseb jekk ikun hemm iktar pressjoni u jekk il-Maltin jarfu il-ġojjel li għandna, naħseb ikun xi ħaġa tajba li nestendu il-boundaries tal-park u nipproteġu iktar mill-coastline u l-wirt tagħna.
Mela, ħamorru għar-rokna kont taf li kif tafu ġieli jkollna din ir-rokna sensiela ta' features li ħejjelnielkom biex darbija u darba le kważi nurukom isbuħija tal-flora u l-fawna li nsibu fil-Gżejjer Maltin u dejjem naqbdu xi speċi partikolari, mhux biss safar, fil-fatt tal-lum mhuwiex għasfur li se nitkellmu dwaru laqas huwa pjanta, huwa animal organizmu li magħruf għandu l-kelma Maltija bil-Malti magħruf bħala ix-xini. Forsi fimtu għax qed nirreferi diġà, imma ħa naraw il-feature flimkien u tifhmu iktar. Ix-xini.
Kont taf li ċentupid u millipid huma differenti. L-isem ċentupid ġej mit-Taljan ċentopiedi li tfisser mit-sieq u jirreferi għal ħafna saqajn li għandu dan l-annimal għalkemm mhux veru jkollu 100. Ħafna nies jitfixklu ċentupid mal-millipid, mit-Taljan millepiedi li tfisser 1000 sieq li kif jindika ismu għandu terġa' aktar saqajn mit-ċentupid għalkemm ħafna inqas minn 1000. Fil-waqt li l-millipid jiklu f'dalijiet ta' pjanti mejta, iċ-ċentupid huma predaturi u jiklu annimali oħra bħal insetti u ħniex. Huma ħfief fil-ġiri sabiex jaqbdu l-priża u għalhekk saqajhom twal. Kont taf li l-isem Malti propju taċ-ċentupid huwa xini? Ismu jfakkarna fix-xwieni tal-imoddi li kien ikollhom ħafna mqadef u fil-fatt huwa minn hawn li ġie l-isem għax jekk tosserva xini miexi tara saqajh jitilgħu jinżlu qishom l-imqadef tax-xwieni. Il-milliped ukoll għandu isem Malti ieħor, ħanex tal-indewwa. Indewwa tfisser fejn hemm l-imxarrab li minnha għandna wkoll il-kelma nida u niedi. Kemm hu sabiħ l-ilsien Malti.
Verament sabiħ l-isim Malti, il-ħanex tal-indewwa, imma sabiħax ix-xini, il-forma tax-xini. Mhux annimal sabiħ, imma importanti xorta waħda l-ekosistema. Daw issibhom sewux fil-park ta' Majestrar flimkien ma' speċi oħrajn.
Jinstabu iva.
L-importanza li nipproteġuhom daw it-tip ta'
Huwa importanti li nippreservawhom dal-ispeċi għal-futur ukoll. Kif bdejna ngħidu qabel, l-ambjent naturali Malti sfortunatament dejjem qed jonqos, mhux jiżdied, huwa ristrett, ħafna pressjoni fuq ta' attivitajiet u ovvjament biex da aħna nkomplu ngawduh irridu ntuh l-importanza u l-attenzjoni li għandu bżonn.
Dal-post ovvjament minħabba li huwa kbir, li għandu ħafna habitati differenti, li għandu bajja, li għandu parti mill-kosta fejn jistemmu jagħmel diving pereżempju u xek. Iġib miegħu wkoll bla dubju, jekk ikollok in-nies f'post, il-problemi li jġibu magħhom in-nies l-aktar komuni nassumija pereżempju l-iskart li dak li jkun ħalli warajh. Xi hemm sistemi u xek fil-park biex isir tindif regolari, tispjegalna ftit jiġri.
Iva. Aħna naħdmu bi proġetti. Kull sena aħna noħorġu pjan ta' azzjoni li
għax smajtkom issemmu kemm il-tunnellata ta' skart joħroġ.
Iva. Niffurmaw pjan ta' azzjoni li nkun xogħlijiet li nkunu ħanamlu nifforwardjawhom il-lera u lill-bord u nibdew mbagħad nimplementawhom. Il-maġġor parti fil-bidu li konna qegħdin nimmaneġew il-park li iktar li kkonċentrajna kif għadlek qabel fuq il-riġenerazzjoni tal-ambjent. Dak ifisser illi żoni fejn kien hemm skart mormi jiġi jitneħħa. Il-maġġor parti tal-iskart kien skart ta' kostruzzjoni, magħmul minn konkos, ħadid u dal-affarijiet, u kien hemm varji locations f'varji postijiet fejn kellna nnatfu. Bej wieħed u ieħor naħħejna xi 6,000 tunnellata ta' skart minn l-varji. Waħda minnhom kienet munsel skart li kien hemm fejn in-naħat tal-Prajiet fejn Papaj Village. Dak naddafnija fl-2018. Għamilna xogħlijiet ukoll fuq speċi aljeni fejn kontrollajna l-akaċa, il-maġġor parti minn fuq in-naħat tax-xari, u kif ukoll issa għaddejjin nikkontrollaw il-qasab mill-habitat tal-aram tar-ramel li hemm il-mixquqa, l-bajja tal-mixquqa. Aram tar-ramel huwa kif nafuh aħna sand dunes, huwa habitat partikolari importanti ħafna u habitat li huwa pjuttost ristret ta' Malta. Ukoll allura
għandna l-adira. U l-adira, is-sand burrowing cricket pereżempju ħajkolli programm tal qudiemni. Tajjeb, nafu
tħawil tas-siġar.
Tħawil tas-siġar ukoll. Bej wieħed u ieħor s'issa f'kemm inna nimmaneġġjaw ħawilna xi 9,500 siġra. Dis-sena fl-2022 ħawilna mal-2000 siġra aħna bħala Federation. U mbagħad ovvjament ikun hemm it-taħwil li jsir mill-ambjent Malta, mill-parks, kumpaniji privati u dal-affarijiet.
Hawnhekk qed naraw filmati ta' attivitajiet differenti li wieħed jista' jagħmel mhux b'mod organizzat bil-fors mill-park, imma imur mixja, imur jom u l-clean-ups ukoll ġifieri. Martin, kemm importanti li dawn l-ispazji miftuħa li għandna inkomplu inżiduhom, inħarsuhom biex għax wara kollox aħna l-unika ħaġa l-unika żvok li għandna b'xejn illum li fadal li tmur fin-natura.
Għanajdek, naħseb kulħadd jifhem illum kulħadd qed jifhem kemm huma importanti l-spazju apert fejn tista' tmur, timxi fil-kampanja, taħseb fuq l-affarijiet u tirrilaksja. Però fl-istess ħin dal-artijiet huma meddin minn żvilupp. Kull jum nisimgħu fuq proġetti, xi proġett kbir qed jaraw l-art forsi iktar irħis għax mhux żviluppat. Allura naħseb kulħadd jifhem li llum irridu ikollna għajnejna fuqhom u nipproteġuhom aħjar. Fl-opinjoni tagħna the best way ikun li ikollha national parks u nħarsuhom kif suppost.
Prosit, il-ħin skada, għandkom idea kemm iżruħ nies jew ma tkomx kalkolu hekk kull sena?
Iva, bej wieħed u ieħor l-sena l-oħra minn żewġ access points li ħana n-materjaw għaddejna 250,000 ruħ.
250,000.
Iva, fadlinna ninstallaw l-apparat biex nkunu nistgħu nimmonitorjaw il-park kollu. Aħna qegħdin nikkalkulaw illi il-maġġor parti tan-nies ovvjament ikunu lejn naħat tal-bajja tal-mixquqa. Naħseb ikun hemm mal-500,000 ruħ li jidħol fil-park fis-sena.
Għandek nofs il-popolazzjoni li żuru f'xi
Jella jduruh iktar minn darba.
Ekku. Prosit, grazzi lilkom it-tnejn, Darren u Martin. Naħseb kellna diskussjoni interessanti dwar il-park, nittama li servit biex in-nies isiru jafu iktar fejnu dal-park x'inhu. Jidher minn numri li għadek kif qedtilna issa li ħafna jafu fejnu, però nirrakkomandalkom jiena li ximmur b'mod regolari park sabiħ f'kull staġun tas-sena biex iżżuru. Aħna ħanalqu il-programm naturalment ta' din il-ġimgħa hawnhekk. Nirringrazzja l-crew li kelli hawnhekk fl-istudio, kelli lil David, kelli lil Bernie, kelli lil Paul Gallia li kien qed imexxi, in-nies fuq il-captions, fuq il-grafika, il-daw kollha li b'xi mod jikkontribwixxu għal dan il-programm il-mistiedna, b'mod partikolari żewġ sponsors prinċipali għal ħwejjeġ tiegħi il-Vigo Menswear u għal make-up tiegħi u tal-mistiedna l-Peach and Sorrel u Janelle Maridi make-up artist bi prodotti Sotis. Nala hawnhekk l-appuntament huwa bħassoltu għal bħallum ġimgħa fl-istess ħin dejjem il-ħamis fid-9:05 fuq Net Television għal edizzjoni oħra tal-programm Naturalment. Grazzi tal-li kontu magħna, lejli tajjeb.
Naturalment, jixtieq jirringrazzja lil Peach and Sorrel Wellness Center bi prodotti Sotis. Vigo. Make-up by Janelle Marie bi prodotti Sotis.